My topic is the interconnection of China modernization and traditional future in Chinese artistical art. The thesis is under the provocative scenario of observing the rapid modernization and urbanization in China. Chinese ethnic artists portray nature's relationship with humans by reflecting on artistic roots from Asian Chinese culture. I will observe their similarities in truth through three key lenses. First one, how observing the rapid modernization in China in past 20 years became motivation for them to create specific artworks. So the fast change in China is provocative enough for this artists to create eco art by tracing back their roots. And secondly, how they obtain the Chinese Asian culture, like Asian dynasty poems, Taoism, in their work. Some of them integrates this Chinese traditional elements from their roots into the process of creating the artworks. And thirdly, how they portray the relationship between human and nature based on the combination of observing rapid urbanization and tracing Chinese Asian culture. The first artist I would like to introduce is Taka Sui and his work of Otis, which is a collection of photograph series that's been made in 2014. So Taka Sui reflects Chinese Asian culture by set foot on the journey of the Book of Otis. In general, the Book of Otis is a collection of poems that provides an insight for the beginning of Chinese civilization. Taka Sui's work, Otis, is a series of photographs taken by Taka in northern China, in which he follows the trees in the Book of Otis. He spent a long time on textual research on which part of China this Asian poems collection is describing. Then he did the field investigation after confirming it's around Yellow River in Shanxi province. According to Da Fudong, he is a scholar studying the Book of Otis. He says the Book of Otis covers all aspects of society of the Zhou dynasty, such as work and love, war and obsession and resistance, customs and marriage, sacrifices and feasts, astronomical phenomena and landforms, animals and plants. Therefore, it's not only a mirror reflecting the Zhou dynasty, but also the most valuable and important material in the study of ancient Chinese architecture. Therefore, many elements in the artwork involve reflection on locations that have flourished during the Zhou dynasty. So the influence of rapid urbanization on Taka Sui. Taka Sui divides his time mostly in Beijing and New York. Living in highly modernized societies, Taka Sui is motivated by the desire of tracing back to the beginning of Chinese civilization. Therefore, his choice of setting the past corresponding to the Book of Otis emphasizes how the beginning of Chinese civilization concept is significant in this work. After his trip, Taka Sui also came the realization of I traveled a lot to take these photographs, and what struck me the most along the way was there's no longer a landscape in central China that has not been altered by man. Whether it be mountains, rivers, streams, or fields, they all seem to be covered with paninka that has been founded for 1,000 years. This trip somehow also become a reflection on the fact that Chinese modernization is even infiltrating some of the most wild areas in the country. So how Sui describes human and nature relationship in this artwork. Sui perceives the nature he's capturing nowadays corresponding to the poetry collection that contains historical annotations that represents his roots, in which he creates a conversation between past and future. In this way, he builds a human and nature relationship by presenting a sense of continuity between identity, cognition, and unchanging landscapes. How did Taka Sui create conversation between past and present and demonstrate the sense of continuity? He brings a mysterious concept in this Asian poem collection into the reality of present world. This reflection on the choice of subjects in photos, broad mountains, flowing rivers, ruined walls, and Asian passes in this book. So we can see a great amount of pictures focused on the broad field of nature landscapes. Many of landscapes pictures do not show human intervention. Thus these elements are trying to embody the sense of unchanging in the long journey of history. According to Taka Sui's own experience during the field shooting, when I stood here, I could feel the purity of spring. There was a beautiful girl gathering aquatic plants. It was a sense of passing through history. Furthermore, he also creates a contrast between historical contemplation and present aliveness. This scene is particularly shown in Zhou Feng's series, Lamp in the Otis. So we can see the lamp placed in the middle of the image catches River's attention easily. It looks pale and fragile and mixed in the natural scenery as if it is also part of the soul of nature. However, as viewer take a closer look, there's a rope around the lamp's neck. This shows a human's deep imprints in those seemingly natural elements. According to Yue Qinluo's analysis, the large forest, the surrounding landscapes, and the three creatures thus all make on the complex human imprint. This is a nature infiltrated by humans. Wilderness restrained by reason. Therefore, the aliveness of present human behavior is inevitable to be revealed even in those very historical locations. The Book of Otis marks the origin of Chinese civilization. Therefore, seeing present human imprints in location that represents historical context in extreme degree shine the light into the sense of continuity in identity cognition from the beginning of Chinese civilization to nowadays Chinese modernization infiltrating everywhere. Falling Back to Earth Heritage, which is by Cai Guoqiang in 2013. The influence of modernization on Cai Guoqiang is in his childhood, which reflects on the theme that are usually shown in the artworks. So he says, when I was growing up in China, I saw a lot of art that depicts a lot of people. You would see many workers, peasants, soldiers, and leaders of wars and revolution. So as modernization takes place in China, the subjects in the arts often focus on people who contribute efforts on bringing new change into the country. Therefore, the animal in these artworks are metaphors that represent humans. Correspondingly, the seeking for surviving scenes implies the situation that humans are under right now. Connecting to Chinese Asian culture by obtaining the inspiration from Tang Yuanming, in Cai Guoqiang's work of Falling Back to Earth, he relates the spirit of Tao Yuanming, who is an Asian scholar but returned to hometown in reclusion in nature. More specifically, the inspiration came from the 4th century poet Tao Yuanming's well-known poem, "Oh, Homeward Bound I Go." This poem from Tao Yuanming usually embodied the theme of celebrating the tranquility and unspoiled beauty of countryside. For Tao Yuanming, returning to home symbolized returning to a simpler and more genuine way of life. Therefore, this idea underlying Cai's artworks shows encouragement for human returning to their home, which is Earth, and reconnecting with the simplicity and purity of nature. So how does Cai Guoqiang describe human and animal relationships? Using the concept of returning home from Tao Yuanming, Cai addresses the theme of returning to the harmonious relationship between nature and human. So there's a theme of the catastrophe is coming in his artworks. It could be shown by the demonstration of animal models layout. So the centerpiece of the whole exhibition, Falling Back to Earth, is the piece called Heritage. Heritage consists of 99 replicas of animals around the world. They are gathered together to drink water from the blue lake in the center and surrounded by the white sands. The lack of water source is shown as there is only one lake for all species of animals to consume. And the gestures of animals are lowering their heads and trying their best to consume the water. Even though they have different identities in animal society as predators and prey, their common goal in this scenario is surviving. Thus, animals become metaphor in human relation to the existential crisis. According to Souzhou Yao, yet in Cat's masterly engagement with the materiality of the natural things, metaphysics was everywhere in the exhibition that summoned a palpable sense of catastrophe. The message Cai desires to convey is simple and harmonious, which is human needs to reunite together and carry the planet as is our common home. In the design of installation, Cai Guoqiang removed the boundaries between animals, models, and visitors. The sharing of space between human and animals emphasize our special relationship of having interconnecting fate, because we ultimately are all creatures living on this planet. According to Cai Guoqiang, when I first conceived the work, I thought it would be related to environmental issues that we have here on Earth. But once the work was finished, I realized that it relates to broader issues, such as our position within the universe. This work in this exhibition shows people to contemplate on their notions of coming back to the starting point, which is rethink who we are in the universe. The contemplation could navigate us out of the challenges inherent in our interaction with the natural world and within our interpersonal connection between individuals. This relocation of ourselves could lead to appreciation of all creatures sharing identity, which is a member of our common home, Earth. The Political Life of Plants by Zheng Bo, which is a video that it's been taken in 2023. The influence of China's modernization on Zheng Bo is showing in his background. He grew up on the edge of Beijing and he spent most of his life living in big cities. He believes in industrialized societies, most people don't really have contact with other forms of life or seasons. So we completely lose touch and our language become very lifeless. Therefore, most of his works focusing on plants reflect on his idea of enhancing humans' connection with plants, especially for the ones that this connection are really cut off due to the fact that they live in urban cities. The urban life also leads to the phenomenon of human-centered views on the majority of people's ideology. The political life of plants creates an intensive connection between plants and human, so humans could perceive the message that plants are more than visible things living around us. As we can see in the videos, Zheng Bo trying to build an equal position in the relationship between plants and humans by recognizing the existence of political life among plants and challenging human-centered views. The use of black and white colors emphasize the trees as the subject and participant in the political discussion. The choice of using black and white colors diminished people's attention to purely trees' appearance, which are surface information that people tend to perceive with anthropocentric ideas. The use of amplifying the naturally subtle sounds and a great amount of zooming in shots creates a feeling of something big is being discussed between plants, whereas humans are the ones being isolated from their internal discussion. Both the zooming in shots and amplified sounds facilitate putting plants as the center of the world. It provokes the audience to dive into observations on trees beyond their human and defend tree identity, which is they might have a deeper behavior and more humanized levels as complicated as humans' political discussion. He also built the concept of equal position of human and plants consciously. According to Zheng Bo in his interview, when I see the political life of plants, the main goal is to push our understanding of plants. If we can see and understand this adaptation as political practice, perhaps we can also see the ways plants can do things way beyond what we can do. The choice of portraying the political aspects of plants' life is to focus on the complexity plants obtain, compared to simply the social life, which is more romantic. Politics involves the idea of competition. the connection with Chinese Asian culture by integrates Taoism in the artworks. Zhengbo believes that perhaps Dao is a better word than politics by analyzing the idea of Dao is in weeds. Dao is in weeds embodies the profound simplicity in Taoism. This concept suggests that truths of Dao, which was always thought extraordinary, can be found in the most common and overlooked elements, like the weeds, which are often ignored or undervalued. The theory suggests that people could learn about natural order of things and the subtle truths that govern the universe through carefully observing the common and simple ones around us. As people interact with the world corresponding to this theory, they could find that wisdom and insight often come from unexpected sources. Therefore, Zhengbo applied Dao is in weeds while creating the concept of this artwork by appreciating the plants that are thought subtle but demonstrate the wisdom it could tell human. On a broader perspective, Zhengbo believes that Taoism represents his message underlying the artworks better than politics because it allows us to think more broadly about politics, not limiting it to human communities and nation-states. Instead, we can picture 万物, 10,000 things in planetary gatherings. Taoism jumps out of the loop of last fundamental and anthropocentric logic of plants have politics, which is the concept of politics created on human society. Taoism embodies Zhengbo's message of everything being equal positions by approaching everything in its natural form and system. In conclusion, there are similarities between this artist's work in the three key lenses. The first one, motivation stemming from the rapid modernization. Creating arts with traditional elements could be seen as means of reconcile the country's Asian traditions with the unstoppable pace of its contemporary progress, aiming to preserve cultural memory in the face of overwhelming modernity. Second, in cooperation of Chinese Asian culture, the artists demonstrate elements of Asian Chinese culture into their work, which are drawn from various sources, including dynasty, historical context, classical poetry, and philosophical ideas like Taoism. Rather than drawing surface traditional features, these elements all represent some spiritual tradition that Chinese people resonate with. Thirdly, which is the portrayal of human nature relationships. Even though all the artists draw human nature relationships in different ways, they all pursue to portray a more soft, harmonious, and equal relationship that reflects humans' intimacy with fellow creatures and nature itself. So in conclusion, with Chinese rapid modernization has led to increasing interest in the traditional or Asian Chinese culture on a spiritual level. People obtain the impulses to make efforts on historical treasury more visible under these fast changes, which is an approach to healing the unprepared mind of ourselves in this era. This phenomenon could be shown by the interconnection between this artist's attitude on modernization and the consciousness of revealing traditional feature on their artworks of eco art.